Welcome to Slasher Sunday. So, because I did the 2000 to 2009 top 10 slasher list, and I put High Tension at number 10, saying I'd only seen it once, but I remember it being good enough to make the list. Now, it is not a strong decade. It really is poor. I like everything on my top 10. I love most of them. I'm just saying, like, I do enjoy everything on my top 10. It's not that bad. But, man, it wasn't a hard list to make because of that. Now, people were asking me about Hills Have Eyes and Wrong Turn. For me, those are like backwoods, hillbilly kind of deformed redneck films. So, if you want to count those as slasher movies, which an argument could be made. But for me, the backwoods killers are different. And I'm not really honestly sure exactly why they're different, but they just are. They're in the genre all to themselves. But I absolutely adore the Hills Have Eyes remake. I think it's fantastic. And I also really enjoy Wrong Turn 1. So, I don't know. How do you guys feel about those? Do you think they're slashers? If they're slashers, then they should have been on that list. And both of those films, in my opinion, are better than this film. Now, here's the thing. I think that this is a really good first watch, but it doesn't really hold up on its second watch for me. And even it's been a long time, but the second watch for me was the issue. Now, spoilers, people, of course. The problem with this film for me is the twist. I almost feel like this film would have been better without it. The twist to me actually hurts the rest of the viewing experience next time. Because this viewing experience, I'm sitting there going, okay, this chick's doing the killing the whole time. Let's watch it as such. So when I was watching it this time, it's literally pretty much everything I was paying attention to. Just like, all right, so she's doing the killing here, but then she's over here. So how does that work? That all being said, even trying to disconnect myself from honing in on that particular thing, I definitely thought there was a good amount of tension created. So I'm not really sure. Maybe on a third viewing, I would like it more because I would just disconnect and be like, screw it. I'm going to watch it again as a pure slasher. Screw the twist. But this one, because I wanted to take notes and really pay attention to how these interlocking things go, to be like, all right, could this be possible for her to be doing this and this at the same time? No. I mean, the only real explanation I have outside of it being a movie, so, it's a movie, it's fiction. But if we're going in-universe explanations, and you have to come up with an explanation of how it's possible. We're just looking at the movie through the lens of a mentally ill person who is really perceiving things completely out of whack. Like, completely out of whack, because things don't make sense. Like, if you're paying attention to the movie and you know she's the actual killer in the film, there's a few sequences where it's like, that makes zero sense that this is happening at the same time as this. What does that mean? How is that possible? So that's where I don't know, it was actually annoying me in the moment, but then I was like, oh, it must be. Because, for instance, like, there's a point where she goes into a convenience store, and she just got out of the guy's truck, which, while she was in the truck, she handed her friend a knife. And then her friend has that knife later on in the movie because she handed it to her. But the killer never went in the back. They just went and got gas, and then they came in, and she was already in the gas station by that point. It's not when she left the truck to where she entered. Even when she was looking back at him, he couldn't have been there. That was in her head that he was still there. And so she walked straight. When she was hiding and going into the convenience store, she's actually here. But then, so then she goes in the store and she hears that this guy's coming, so she runs to the back of the store, but then the guy comes through the front door, and the clerk interacts with the guy coming through the front door, even though he just saw her run to the back of the store. Then when he goes to get the guy's liquor, he knows something's wrong with the guy who just walked through the door, and he looks over at her and gives her some kind of gesture. Why would he give anyone in that corner a gesture? There's no one there, right? The killer, the woman that we're looking at, isn't actually there. She's up at the front. So this is just an askewed version of what she's seeing, because she's got to be at the front. But how'd she get to the front if she's at the back of the store? If and when she runs to the back of the store is all in her mind, and all she did was then exit the store and come back in a second later, and then she fantasized that she was running around in the store, he's still motioning to something in the corner. Were you or were you not motioning to Claire? See, I don't... So that was really fucking annoying me throughout the movie. Knowing the twist, knowing what I was looking for. And then the twist reveal, I don't know how exactly I feel about it, because we're always used to these like grandiose, very in your face, musical cued reveals, where the reveal is like the calls are coming from inside the house, and it's like dun dun dun, and like, oh my god, and you get the close up and the it's like fucking, it's freaking out. Almost like Kill Bill, every time she sees one of the people that she wants that's on her list, it's like, it's just like really in your face. But this one, the cop just looks at the surveillance footage and just sees her on there. And they don't even make a big deal of it. He doesn't make a big deal of it. The footage isn't accompanied with any music or any focus to where the audience would be cued in, like, wait a minute, what are we seeing here? So in one way, I kind of respect that, because it's not hand-holding, and it's really like, you better be fucking paying attention. Otherwise, I don't know how you could miss it, but a lot of the times people need to be guided. So I do like that, but at the same time, it does feel anticlimactic. So almost hypocritically arguing against my point, very devil's advocate of me on that sense of things, but or on that side of things. But yeah, as much as I'm not for traditionalism and going through the motions of doing what everyone else does, like inserting loud dramatic beats and this and that, so that it can be like, oh my god, dun 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 kind of thing, it did feel very lackluster when the reveal came. I remember the reveal coming in a different way. I remember her being like coming after her friend and with the buzzsaw, or whatever the hell that thing's called, it's not a circular, whatever the hell it's called, and her friend then realizing it's her, like she came into front, but that's not it. She sees it's on the surveillance footage, and it's just like, if you were looking down at your phone, which you shouldn't be doing, I'm not saying that this would excuse that, but there would be nothing. There's no cue to it at all. There's no like Garby, like, who the hell is this and what's her? We're looking for a woman. You know how usually they'd be like, oh my god, we're looking for a blonde woman. It's not a guy. It's not a guy. Like, it's not, whatever. It would be very obvious. In this, it does no real flashes. It does it a little later on when it starts to show her kills. But in that moment, the reveal isn't very climatic. So that's an issue for me, a little bit. Just, I don't know. What do you guys feel about that? But so I really was focusing on a lot of things I wasn't really wanting to focus on, but I did because of the review. So almost because I was reviewing it, it actually hurt my experience, because I really wanted to talk about the moments where it was bullshit that it couldn't really be her. Like, how is she in the back with her friend, and her friend is like, not wanting her to touch her, and she's like kind of throwing herself around, but the truck is also driving at that moment. So is she like talking to her through the window, and we're seeing her reaction, but then who hands her the knife? And then who steals that guy's car with the freaking Confederate flag on the back and drives it across? Like, that's all in her mind? That car doesn't exist? Like, you really gotta fill in a lot of question marks Like a lot, you really, really have to like try to make this twist work. I just feel like they could have incorporated it better, where something would happen and then you'd go, huh, that was kind of odd. That was weird. How did that make sense? You know, like maybe she sees something and then we question it, like, what did she see there? Maybe was that a mess up in the film, or like did I miss something or whatever? And then when it's revealed at the end, you're like, oh my god, it all makes sense now. Like she did this because of that. You know, I didn't feel like that in this movie. I very much felt like they were purposely duping you, like without even trying to be clever. Like you can't just take back. It's not like, imagine like Laurie Strode at the end of Halloween actually being Michael Myers. Would that work? If at the end when he comes in and you know goes and he shoots Michael and she was just laying out on the grass. Would that work at all in the movie? Absolutely not. How could she drive past her friends when they're sitting there talking to her? You know what I mean? It's that kind of like blatant disregard for what's actually happening, the events within the film. They don't match up to warrant this twist ending. Like the twist ending for me feels tacked on. Like it feels like a last minute decision. Like why don't we just have the killer be her? You know? Like the only thing, there's only one saving grace to the twist at all for me throughout the film, and that is how her friends reacting to her throughout the movie. That's it. If it wasn't for that, I would straight up say 100% that this was thrown in last minute. But because the friend is like hesitant and is like not speaking to her and is like, you know, what we are supposed to believe is, you know, in shock or so terrified or mentally distraught to the point where she can't even speak. That's the only thing for me in this movie that makes any sense. Everything else, pretty much every single thing else in this film doesn't line up with the twist. I just don't see it. So we just have to excuse it as, well, we're just seeing it through her head and, you know, none of what we're seeing is real. None of it. So to me, it's just like throwing everything with it. There's so many opportunities to expand upon that, to insert things, to come back to later and be like, we got you see? You know, like in The Sixth Sense or something, when they go back and they show you, and when you really go back and watch that movie, the twist fully works. You're like, oh shit, yeah, that's why he did that. Oh shit, that's why this was happening. Does not work here. All right, I've harped on that enough, but you guys know what I'm saying. I hope you like agree with me. Or, well, I don't know if I want you to agree with me because that might bring the film down for you. So I hope you at least understand and can see where I'm coming from. I do have a note here that just says boobies. So we get a shot of boobies in the shower. So I just wrote down boobies. Boobies. Like a fucking 10-year-old. Not tits, boobies. That's ridiculous. I watched the unrated French version because, you know, I'm not huge on dubbing. I will do it on occasion. Sometimes I don't want to read the subtitles because I actually want to be watching the movie. So that's the only reason. It's like I always got to pick. Like, do I want to be looking down at the bottom half of the screen, half the film? Good thing no one was talking during the twist. Otherwise, I would have totally missed it. Now, here's another thing. The blowjob. What is happening in this sequence? So the killer in this, okay, here's another thing. Where does she get the truck? So the killer, who's not really a killer, it's her, right? Oh my God, I didn't even think of the truck. The truck actually really pisses me off. Wow, I can't even believe I didn't even put that together until right now. Where the fuck did she get the truck? That makes no sense. Where's the truck from? So in the opening, the killer is getting a blowjob from a severed head, then takes the head, throws it out the window. But that girl's already in the car with her friend at that point. So that head, that severed head, that whole sequence is just in her head. She's just imagining that truck and him, but then she uses that truck. And her friend's in the back of that truck. Where'd that truck come from? He drives it up and parks it in front of the house, and then he takes it and leaves, but it's not there. So what the fuck? Oh, wow. Is the truck there? Did I miss it? Is it on the property? If it's not, that's a wow. That's a really big fuck up. But the blowjob sequence, what is that? That's just her imagination. As I said, that's disingenuous. That's not earning a twist. If you insert a villain doing something away from the characters, and then the person it's supposed to actually be is in the other sequence doing something with her friend, how can she be doing this here when she's doing this here? That's not okay. So that's what I'm saying. Like, the twist really hurts this movie. Take the twist out, the movie's really solid slasher. Put the twist in, and I got problems galore. Oh, wow, that truck thing is really pissing me off. That actually makes zero sense. I almost want to throw this movie in right now and look for this truck. Because it's like a Jeepers Creepers truck. You wouldn't miss this thing. It's huge. So is it on the property? Did I miss it? I don't know. Anyways. So this is in French, and they actually refer to hippies and rednecks. There's rednecks in France? That's a thing? Like, that's not an American thing? There's and maybe like, I should say an American thing, like a North American and American thing. Like, that's not like a Canadian American thing. I didn't know that. I mean, it's not shocking to me, but when they said rednecks, maybe that was like the Americanized English version to for us. And they actually refer to them as, I mean, obviously they say it in a different language, but I'm saying like maybe that's the interpretation for us is rednecks, but they actually would translate to something different, like in there whatever they're saying. I don't know. When they said rednecks, I was like, really? They call them rednecks in France? Yeah, maybe. I guess. I don't know. It never crossed my mind. I just thought that was an American thing. I just thought this was like that, like, you know, the deep South redneck. Not that that's where they only are. They're fucking everywhere in this country, but you know what I mean. I thought that was like a Jeff Foxworthy freaking thing. You know, not that he invented it, but you know what I mean. Hey, I already used all this. Friend is hysterical. Good cover. Hysterical. There you go. Some doctor is going to need to masturbate her to get her out of her hysteria. Look it up. And yeah, I already said that. Ooh, loved hearing Muse, the band Muse's song Newborn in this. Great song, and it really plays well into the movie. Great use of almost the entire song there. Yeah, and then another thing. Rednecks and all that being in France. But then one of the cars the car she steals in the movie, which I guess she never steals, so maybe that explains it, but it has a Confederate flag on it. Is she in a different country? Is that what's happening? Did I miss them saying that? Classmates hoping to prepare for their college exams in peace and quiet, they decide to spend a weekend in the country at Alexis's parents. No, it's just in the country of France. Like in the countryside of France, right? A Confederate flag on a car in France? I mean, this movie was filmed in France, so I guess it would, but why the fuck would the French have a Confederate flag on their car? Is that like skinheads here having a swastika? Since obviously that was a German thing. You know, we're over here in America. Would that be kind of the, comparison? No comparison. Is that the word I was thinking of there? I guess. Yeah, comparison. I'm thinking of like equating something, but yeah, I think that's right. Yeah, it's just odd to see that. I wasn't expecting to see a Confederate flag in France or the word redneck. Yeah. Then she beats the killer to death, which is great. And that would have been a great ending. But then, like, if they had stretched out the film a little longer and then she absolutely viciously, brutally kills this guy, she would have been, like, you know, in that top running Final Girls. She would have been, alongside the chick in You're Next. or something. But then it has this very anticlimactic twist for me, and it really makes no sense. She gets a driver killed, which her friend does. She has the guy pull over, and then she comes and she puts the saw right through the guy. The kills in this mostly are good. The best kill in the movie by far is the guy's head getting kicked through the railing, and then the dresser just knocking the guy's head off in the blood. Amazing. Just fantastic kill. Easily the best kill in this movie. As soon as I saw that, I actually wanted to update the Slasher Sunday opening because of how much I love that kill. Unreal, man. That's top 10. Right there alone, that's top 10 kills of the decade, for sure. Wow. What a fantastic ending. Then that guy's like throat getting slit back and forth, and then like laying there and the throat slit and still alive and all that. That's a really good one as well. And another thing I don't think I feel like I've seen much is once the killer has been revealed to not be the look of the other killer, we then go back and forth of seeing the killer who's now dead and beaten. So she's actually looks like the killer she killed in her mind back from the dead, and she's attacking, and it just kind of goes back and forth, showing her, showing him, showing her, showing him, mostly him though. So we're seeing it through her eyes, you know. But where's she in that moment? At any other time in the movie, she was split into two. Any time throughout this entire film, she's split into two characters. There's her versus him. Her trying to save her friend. At all times, she's split. Then she kills him, and then when the moment happens, she becomes him and only him. At that point, when the reveal happens, she ceases to exist, period. It's almost like she died and he lived. In that moment, they split, and she only becomes him. What? That makes no sense. Be the other way around. She killed the guy. She should be free of him. It's like the movie Identity. They killed off the personalities, and now they're dead and gone. You know? Like, she killed him, but then he comes back from the dead, and I guess in that moment, she resurrects him, and in the resurrection of him, it doesn't split them back apart again. It completely kills her off and obliterates her. It's just him from that point. Even though we see her, she's him. She's not acting like herself. She's not trying to help. She's trying to kill. So she's that character, period. And there is no version of her running around on the outside trying to help. That makes no sense, right? I mean, see, this is what I'm saying. Like, the twist is fucked in every way to me. I couldn't get over it throughout the whole film. It really, really hurt the film. In fact, so much to the point where I honestly feel like I should have put Dark Ride in number 10 over this. Because I think this twist fucking ruins the film. I'm just saying it outright. I've talked enough about it at this point. I hope you can understand why I would say that. There's too much to overlook. Tension's good. Great kills. Drags at times. But it's an effective kill. It would have been a great slasher. Fucking A, man. So I guess you just got to look past the twist. Or maybe you buy it and you're just like, whatever, I accept it and that's fine. So all it was about was that she wanted this girl's love. And I guess this girl didn't want to give it to her. That's why she kept calling her a slut and stuff at the beginning. And because this chick didn't want to give her love, all these people had to die. And then she gets all fucked up here, but she ends up living. She was a real pretty girl before this movie, but at the end, she didn't look much better than her counterpart killer dude. So not much to look for at the end. Look at the end. I think that's it. I think I got everything. There's another like hint towards the beginning where she's in the car with her friend and she wakes up from a dream and she's like, I guess the dream. So there we go. That will explain the blowjob because she wakes up in the car. But she says her dream is about her chasing her, which is the first cue that she's the killer, right? So she's not dreaming about a car and a severed head and all that. But we'll have to just say, just for argument's sake, fuck it, I'm trying to explain the movie. In that dream, she dreams that scenario of her killer getting a blowjob from a severed head, then throwing it out the window, and then she sees her chasing her. But in the dream, it's her chasing her, not some dude in a car with a severed head. So that, I really have to try to like finagle and stretch that as much as I possibly can to make that true and make that right. So I don't know, guys. This is a rough watch for me because of that stuff. I could not let it go. So what do you guys think? Are you thinking that I'm being way too hard on this, or did I raise a bunch of valid points that you're like, oh shit, I don't know. Now I'm kind of questioning the ending here. Let me know. Anyways, adios.